Hello there, and welcome back to the final episode of the light bar series. In this episode, we will be finishing up the light bar, or in my case, light pods, into a nice little unit like this, ready to be attached to any sort of vehicle that you would like. So, we will need the pieces that we've been working on from the last two episodes. We'll need the little electronics board, as well as our L bracket mount and the front cover plate. So for starters, what we'll do is, we're going to be covering the back in hot glue to make sure that it doesn't short out with the casing, and also to make sure that it's waterproof as well. Okay, so we're just going to put a thin cover of hot glue over top of the motherboard, making sure that you get all the edges and such too. Not like covering the edge of the motherboard, but covering like any edges where there might be like wire or something sticking out, so that it is nice and insulated. And don't be afraid about putting too much on, because you can always use your X-Acto knife and cut it off if you need. Which, to get it to fit properly, chances are you will have to do. But, yeah, so I'm just making sure that I get all the edges in here. Make sure I get them all really nice and coated well, so that it doesn't go anywhere, or so that all the electronics are covered up real nicely. And there you go. It's just kind of like covered. So you can leave your hot glue gun plugged in. Alright, so now while that's cooling off and setting, we're going to work on the bracket here. So I'm going to take the L bracket and put it on the back there, and we're going to be using 8mm screws, I think is what I used before, or one 8mm screw to go from inside the casing through out the back to the L bracket, with a nut then on the other side of that, as all the nuts roll out the bag. Great. So keep in mind that once you seal this up, you're never going to be able to like service this again. Like, you're not ever going to be able to tighten down that that nut. So make sure that when you tighten it down as tight as you can get it, so that it never comes loose and you never have to bother with it. So I made a mistake. Before we put the L bracket on, we actually have to put this screw, or a screw that's going to be long enough for your application, through the bottom hole first, because otherwise you're not really going to be able to get to it very well. Awesome. Not going to move ever. We had to put this screw in first, with the other screw inside the housing there, and I can still, when I need to screw it in, I can still get my driver in there just fine. So now, over here that this is cooled off, we're going to fit it inside of the casing, and make sure that it only goes down as far as you want it. So if you look at the edge there like that, it's pretty low, and I'm not sure if I'm going to want it higher than that. So I think that's actually going to be just fine. It's going to be less than the other ones, but I think that's pretty good. Squirt a bunch of hot glue down in there, and then take this piece and just stick it right in there. So let's see how easy that's actually going to be. So we're just going to put a ton in there, like that, and take our board before it cools, and stuff it down there, push it down all the way. Looks like we'll still fit on there, which is good. Actually, I probably pushed it down even a little too far. But there's really not much I can do about that now. It's already kind of set. If you really do desperately need to bring it up farther, you can always reheat it with a heat gun maybe, or a soldering iron. I'm not really sure, but something, and you can reheat the glue and move it around. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to fit this piece on top of here the best we can. So however you need to do it, just do it that way, because the key here is to get a really nice fit on there so it's nice and smooth around. So right now my top and bottom is really good. I just need to trim up the sides, this side in particular here, and the corners. So I'll do that off camera and then we'll come back and put it on. So I got it fitted really well around the edges. They're nice and flush. They're not super clean. We'll clean them up. Actually right now, you can just grab a file and just kind of like roll it. Roll your piece to kind of round over the edges a little bit. Just smooth them up. Alright. So now is the fun part. Well, not yet. So what we need to do now is actually put glue around the around our lead here for them. So I'm just kind of picking off a little bit that's in there, cut it a little bit. All right, here we go. So the reason we want to put it in there is because then it will make sure that the wire is nice and like protected from the sharp edges of the metal. You can do this. You can use different stuff. You can actually put a rubber grommet in there, but by using hot glue, we're pretty much just making our own. So as you can see, I kind of filled up that gap. It's really messy right now. We'll clean it up later once we get the top on. So now we're just going to fill up the inside with glue. And lots of it. Don't worry about getting any on the bulbs or on the LEDs. Again, clean it up later. And just squeeze it on there, hold it on till it cools. This isn't going to be the only way that the front plate is going to be held on. We're going to also be using a little bit of CA glue. Oh, this is interesting. I've just found that picking the glue off of the LEDs while it's still a little bit warm actually works really well. And we're just going to basically CA glue all the edges of this thing. So basically all these seams and stuff under there, we're literally just going to put a nice little bead of glue on there. It'll seal it up real good, and it'll also hold the front on well. Now, I'm just going to hang this in my vise gently, just clamp the wire a little bit. And yeah, so that's really it. That's all you got to do. So then once that CA dries, you can finish cleaning up the casing a little bit if you feel necessary. The other thing you can do is clean up the LEDs from any glue on there. The other thing the thing that I'm gonna suggest is to make sure that you don't have a short before you turn this on, is if you have a voltmeter, put one probe on one of the pins in there, and then touch the casing. Use like the continuity setting, so it literally just buzzes like when there's continuity, and just check each one the positive and the negative to the casing. Make sure that it's not shorting out. So, anyway, guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed this light bar how-to series. I know that I did a light bar video in the past that was a little bit different. This is my new and improved method. So if you did enjoy the series, please leave a thumbs up or double thumbs up or whatever. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't heard already. I'm trying to sell my Yeti. At the time of this filming, I should say, it is on the Northern California Craigslist. Yeah, and once I sell that, I'm going to be buying a new truck. I'm not saying what it is yet. When we get to 100 subs, I'm going to be unboxing it here on camera. So if you can hit that subscribe button, that would really be appreciated, so then we can get to that unboxing sooner. So anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the series. I'll be installing this in a separate video later on. And yeah, thanks for watching. Later.